Alrighty, how are we doing? Back again with some chit chat, and by this point I would have crossed 10 uploads, my first 10 videos on the channel. So I'm back again with the journal, and the topic I've got is there is no perfect launch, which I think is pretty relevant now considering I have reached my first 10. So what do I mean by that? It's that when you're trying to learn a new skill, get good at something new, you're going to be shit at the beginning. And the only way to get better at it is by actually doing the thing. So in this case, it's making videos. You're not used to making videos, you're not good at making videos. How do you get better at it? You make videos. That's it. It doesn't matter what they're like, if they're boring, they're cringe, whatever, you just make them. This applies to anything. So I'll give you an example. My experience is pretty academic, so like school, university, professional qualification, and I've had a lot of exams during my time. And when I was studying for those exams, for some reason, I'd never wanted to do like the practice papers, especially towards the end, like university and the professional qualification, because I just knew I wasn't ready for the papers. I wouldn't want to go through that like humiliation of doing an exam and doing terrible at it and it exposing me for like how little I knew and whatever. But the issue with that is that is the thing that I should have been doing, like actually just putting myself through those failures where I know I'm going to do trash in the paper, like the practice paper, but then go back and then dissect that and like find where to improve and just improve all the things like timings and knowledge and what's missing. But instead I just do the easy bits. I just go and like read over my notes or try and study things, which they're two different things. Like studying notes and actually doing the paper are completely different. So the point I'm making is to get better at a skill, you just have to practice that skill specifically. So like when it comes to like making videos, for example, the first 100 videos are probably going to be trash. Like once you pass the first 100 and then you look at the first 100, you'll probably look back and cringe at them and be like, oh, that was horrible. But that's just the way it's got to be done. Like you can't be perfectionist with this, because if you become a perfectionist, you just won't do it. Like you'll just sit on the sidelines forever, just thinking about how you've got to make it look the best as possible, or it's got to match up to these standards. But the reality is, like, you build those over time. Like you build them by trial and error, seeing what works, what doesn't work, that sort of thing. Just improving like over time. And the thing is, when it comes to creative stuff like this, so whether it's making videos or even like artistry stuff like music, painting, the beauty of the creative area is that you're allowed to iterate. And like what I mean by iterate is that you're allowed to try and then keep trying and keep making. And there's not that much like punishment for that. If anything, it's like people appreciate that over time. Like when an artist has this progression of like starting off shit and like becoming good, that ends up looking good. And the creative industry is very forgiving of that like process of iteration, of getting better over time. And there's kind of novelty in the fact that you started off shit as well. Like it's just the truth of it. Whereas the reason I bring that up is that other industries and other ventures aren't as forgiving. So going back to my experience, for example, like I've been a corporate accountant since 21. So in that industry, it's not as forgiving. So like those papers that I said I was failing, if you fail them too many times, they just fire you. And I know other companies are even more harsh. Like the one I was at was probably more on the lenient side, but there are others where 2 fails and you're out. Like you're fired, and then you're left in a situation where you have to then find another job, and then it's only going to be companies similar to that one who won't look kindly on the fact that you failed. So it's just not as forgiving in other industries to go through this process of like failure and then improvement and then iteration and all that. But the creative industry allows it. So how have I applied that here, like in my first 10, 11 videos, to make sure that I haven't fallen into this trap of like hyper perfectionism where everything I put out has to be great and whatnot. But one of the main things I've done is I've set cutoff points. So I try to get my filming done in the morning, like first thing, and I set a cutoff point of like 8:30 a.m. Like by 8:30 a.m. I've just got to roll with what I've done. So it doesn't matter if it's not as smooth as I liked or I didn't explain things as well as I wanted to. If it crosses that point of 8:30 a.m, I take what I have and I've got to make an upload based on that. And I think setting that cutoff point is really good, because that way that's what's built the consistency, basically, where something will go out either every day or every other day. If I was constantly like laboring over like my uploads, and it just go day by day, and it would take me like weeks to put videos out. So the cutoff point is a handy one, I'd say. But yeah, 10 uploads, here's to another 100, and then becoming better at this skill, and then being in a position one day where I can look back at these videos and laugh and be like, oh, those were funny, like that was a funny time. That's the aim. But the point I'm making is you never get there unless you actually go through this hump of awkwardness and not being great at what you want to get good at, but just doing it anyway, because that's the only way to improve. It just really is. You just gotta it's like rinse and repeat. Just put yourself through a grinder until you're the good meat.